this visit of Xi Jinping to Moscow is I think will tell us, how deep the relationship is getting between Russia and China. So the stronger that bond becomes, I think the harder it will be for India. The US today is very deeply involved in the Indo-Pacific and Asia. In fact, the Biden administration has formulated that despite Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the long-term challenge is really from China. And that the Washington today appears confident that it can handle both the threats. But the fact is, if the Ukraine crisis drags on longer, I think that's going to make it harder, I think, over the longer term for the US to meet its commitments in the Indo-Pacific. Even a simple thing as ammunition. Today, the Ukraine war has consumed so much of ammunition that actually it ties down the energies, the military energies of the US and the West in Ukraine, and making it harder for them to really challenge China. So, in the near term, the longer the Ukraine crisis lasts, it would look like it would benefit Beijing. I think India's straddle is going to get harder and harder. We're beginning to see that actually this visit of Xi Jinping to Moscow is I think will tell us, how deep the relationship is getting between Russia and China. So the stronger that bond becomes, I think the harder it will be for India to bet that Russia will be an autonomous actor that can take decisions when it comes to India that are, in Delhi's favor. So I think that problem exists, and my sense is here is the challenge for us. We have a problem with China, and Russia, which we've seen as a reliable ally all these years, is going to be increasingly dependent on China. This problem, I think, will only get acute because the war is not going to end anytime soon. And what we see is that the longer the crisis lasts, the greater will be Russia's dependence on China. And that won't play very well for India. I think we see a lot of fluidity in the international environment today because of the structural changes that have taken place in terms of the US-China conflict, Russia's conflict with the West, the pressures on globalization. I think we're beginning to see most of the middle powers trying to adapt to the new situation. But some of this is tactical and might not necessarily last. For example, can Saudi Arabia and Iran really be friends? What they've proclaimed in the Middle East. Can South Korea overcome its nationalist resentments against Japan to develop a solid partnership? So these issues will be there. But I think the structural trend that we're beginning to see is a Russia that has chosen a war that it could not finish quickly and is going to be locked in a conflict with the West for a long time. And this has made Russia far more closely tied to the Chinese. And I think if this trend continues, my sense is we're going to see countries like Japan, countries like India, will have to come to terms with this. And that's the reason why we are seeing Prime Minister Kishida of Japan, who was in Delhi last couple of days, has traveled to Ukraine. So here we are. The Chinese president is in Moscow, and the Japanese Prime Minister is in Kiev, and we're going to see the people that we see. Asia is actually will have to play a lot more dynamic role in Europe. And I think for India, that question will come while Japan and China are playing a larger role in Europe. Can India too, at some point, begin to play this far more autonomously rather than simply navigating the crisis between Russia and the West, which is at this point seem to benefit China?